Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I will share with you simple steps on how to make this gorgeous ball dress. If this sounds like what you're interested in, do well to watch the video to the end, and if you find it helpful, do not forget to subscribe to my channel, like, share and comment, and let's get started. So for this project I made use of these following fabrics. I have here my net fabric, and I have just 3 yards of net fabric. You can make use of any net fabric of your choice. We also need an underlay because this net is a see-through. I have here my doll face fabric. I have about 3 yards of doll face fabric. I have cut out my front and back piece, and I'm going to explain exactly how I cut it out. If you notice carefully, one is longer than the other, which is the back piece. You can see is longer by 1.5 inches, and I have length 10 inches and the wideness is 9 inches. I am making this for a 3 to 4 years old child. So I'm going to rule out a line at this top that will serve as my shoulder line. I will divide her shoulder measurement by 2, which is 5 inches, and I marked. I will go in by 2.25 inches for her neck width. Unless you have a plan of making a wide neck dress, do not exceed this 2.25 inches, please. I will come down my 1/2 inch at this point, and I will slope her shoulder like so. So for the neck depth, I will come down by 1 inch for the back, and for the front the same 2.25 inches. I will connect the back to the back piece like so, and also curve out the front neckline. I'm going to mark out her chest line, and in this case her chest line is 5 inches. I will mark it out right here. On that line, I will mark out her shoulder measurement divided by 2 again and connect into a straight line like so. I will divide her round chest measurement into 4, and I will mark it out on this chest line. All the measurements I'm taking is from the front piece, okay? So I will mark out her round chest divided by 4, added some inches for sewing allowance. On this down part, I will divide her round waist measurement by 4, which is 5.5 inches. Add same sewing allowance. I connected the 2 points together. So I'm going to mark half of what I have from the shoulder to the chest line, come in by 2.25 inches. I will go ahead to curve out her armhole. Okay, this is what I have. So the next thing I'm going to do is to add 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch for joining the sleeve to the armhole and also on the shoulder. I'm going ahead to mark out her half length, and I'm using 9 inches plus 1/2 inch for joining the upper part to the down part, which makes it 9.5 inches, and I marked it out. I'm going to give this side a little curve. You can just go up by 1/2 inch and give it a little curve, and I'm going ahead to cut out my pieces right now. I first of all cut out the back neckline. The front is still there. After that, I will go ahead to also slant the center back like this. From the waistline, go in by 1/2 inch and slant it this way. This is to avoid zipper bulge after fixing our zipper. Hope that is clear. After cutting it out, I will separate the back from the front. I will cut out the front neckline, and I will place it around the fabric to cut out lining pieces for each of them, and that I have done. As you can see, I'll also place this on my net fabric and cut out exactly like this. I'm going to cut it out, and this will serve as an underlay while the net will be on top of it. Okay, this one is an underlay, the net is going to be on top of it. So next I'll go ahead to join the shoulders. Okay, so I'm going to join the main fabric and the lining piece separately. I will stitch the sides with the allowance I gave for stitching allowance, and the shoulders with 1/2 inch. I will repeat the same thing on the lining piece. Stitch your sides with the allowance you gave for stitching allowance and the shoulders with 1/2 inch. And after all that, you can see I joined the main fabric and the lining piece separately. Like I explained, I did exactly the same thing. The shoulders with 1/2 inch and the side with the allowance I gave to the side. Next step is to join the main fabric and the lining piece on the neckline like this. So I'm going to make sure that those joining on the shoulders are well aligned like this. You align them properly. I will go ahead to pin it down properly before I proceed to stitch. Okay, so after pinning it down, I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and stitch by 1/2 inch. After stitching, I will open it up and also top stitch on the lining piece. After that is done, this is what I have. I've not ironed it yet. Okay, so this is what I have, you can see. So for the down part, I have cut out my net fabric, and to know the amount of net fabric you're going to cut out, you're going to minus your half length from your main gown length you're working with. Okay, so here I am doing that. My half length is 9 inches. I'm going to minus that half length from my total gown length. I am working with 27 inches as my total gown length. I will minus the half length like this. Okay, and I will cut out. You can add extra 1 inch to it because you're going to also join it to the waistline. So I have 3 pieces of this, and each of them are 2.5 yards of fabric. I told you I used 3 yards of fabric. I use 1/2 yards for the upper part, and the remaining 2.5 yards I divided it into 3. As you can see, I divided it into 3. Hope you understand. So each of these now is 2.5 yards of fabric. I divided it into 3 since my gown length is not long, so I will go ahead to join the 3 pieces together, and by the time I am done joining them together, it will become 7.5 yards of fabric, and this is what it looks like after that. So I will go ahead to run a gather stitch and draw it, okay, up to my waistline. I will go ahead to do that and I will bring it back. So the next step is to cut out my underlay. Okay, so I'm going to cut it in a flare form. You can also cut it in a straight form, okay, but I will cut mine in a flare form, and I want to have gathers also on this underlay. Hope you understand. I want to gather this on underlay. Okay, so this is what I have. I have folded my fabric in a flare form. I folded it into 4, so I'm going ahead to check what I have here. You can see it's not that long, so I'm going to use everything I have here. I'm going to use the whole length I have here. So I'm going to mark the length I got all around like this. So if your fabric is bigger than mine, or you're cutting yours in a straight form, so to know the length of what you will be cutting out, you're going to minus 1 inch from the net fabric you cut out. Okay, make sure that this underlay is shorter by 1 inch, which means that the net fabric, which is your main fabric, is going to be longer than this underlay by 1 inch, while the underlay is also going to be shorter by 1 inch. Hope that is clear. Remember, I told you I'm going to have a gathers around this underlay. So what I did was to multiply her waist measurement by 2. So her waist measurement is 21 inches. I multiplied it by 2, which gave me 42 inches. I went ahead to divide that 42 inches by 6.28, which is the formula for calculating the waist circumference of a flare. Okay, so I got about 8 point something inches, and I just left it by 8 inches. Okay, my fabric is not enough, so I'm marking out 8 inches all around. So after marking out, I will connect it like this, and I will go ahead to cut out. So guys, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please tell me what you are waiting for. Kindly hit on that subscribe button, and don't forget to like. Thank you. So I will go ahead to slit one side open like this. So for the lining piece, okay, for the lining piece of the down part, I'm going to cut it like this. I'm going to cut a half flare for that. So I'm going to also mark out like this. I'm going to mark out 7 inches like this across. I will minus the half length and mark out the length I want for the lining piece. Okay, so the lining should be like the same length with the underlay, or possibly maybe be shorter than the underlay. Okay, so after cutting out, I will also fold another one. So I'm going to cut out 2 of it. I have to cut it differently because my fabric was not enough to cut it at once. I have to cut it two of it like this, and I will go ahead to join the two together. Okay, the next thing I will do is to also gather this underlay up to her waist measurement. And after gathering that, this is my net. I've gathered my net, and I have her round waist divided by 4 plus her plus zipper allowance. Okay, and the same thing I have on my underlay. So I will place the net on top of the underlay like this, and I will sew them together with a normal stitch. After sewing them together, they have become one piece, as you can see. Please do not forget to hem the down part of the underlay, or you weave it with your weaving machine. So the next thing I'm going to do is to attach the upper part to the down part. Remember, I sewed the main piece and the lining differently, so you're going to attach the main piece to the main piece and the lining piece to the lining piece. Hope that is clear. Main fabric to main fabric, lining piece to lining piece. And after attaching them differently, this is what I have. You can see they are attached differently, lining piece to lining and main fabric to main fabric. The next step is to finish up the center back. So we are going to finish up the center back and sew our zipper to the center back. So what you're going to do is to separate the lining piece. You're going to push it upward like I did, like this, and you will bring the main fabric, the main piece, okay, the main dress. You're going to join it like this. You're going to put it together like this. Use your pin to hold it down on the neckline, also hold it down on the waistline. You're going to measure from the waistline down to 5 inches like so, and after that you will go in by your zipper allowance that you gave to the back. Okay, so mine is 1.5 inches. So after that, you're going to hold the underlay and the net fabric like this. You're going to stitch from that 5 inches mark all the way down. Okay, all the way down. Also repeat the same thing on the lining piece. Hold the neckline and the waistline together, and after that you're going to measure down to 5 inches from the waistline like this. Come in by your zipper allowance. You're going to sew it all the way down from that 5 inches all the way down. So after sewing it, you can see that is what I have done, and this is what we have. So I'm going to open it up so we can see what we have. The idea is to attach the zipper lining to lining and fabric to fabric. Don't worry, I'm going to make it easy for you to understand. Okay, so this is what we have after that. So I'm going to take it back the way it was before. Next thing I'm going to do is to open up that back neckline like this. Okay, the back neckline, I'm going to open it up to your zipper allowance. So mine is 1.5 inches. Remember, I'm going to open it up to 1.5 inches. Can you see? And you will place your zipper like this in between the lining piece and the main piece, and you're going to pin it only to your main piece. Okay, so the zipper is in between the lining piece and the main piece. You pin only on the main piece, and after pinning it on the main piece up to your zipper opening, okay, up to your zipper where the opening ends, you're going to pin it up to where the zipper opening ends. You will sew, and you repeat the same thing on this side. Open up to your zipper allowance and also do the same thing. So fixing zipper to the main fabric is not really the issue, because it's just like fixing our normal zipper to our dress. Okay, so after fixing the zipper, I'm going to show you how to use your lining piece to cover everything up. Very simple. Okay, so you're going to open up your zipper. Okay, I'm going to open it up. This is the lining piece, remember, so you're going to use that lining piece to cover. So this is the main fabric and this is the lining piece, so use this lining piece to cover it up like this. So I'm going to use my lining like this. Can you see the way I flinked it? Turn it like this. Okay, and you use it to cover your zipper. You can see the right side of the lining to the right side of the fabric. You're going to stitch back that neckline where you opened. Okay, and then you can go ahead to pin it. So you're going to sew. You're not going to sew directly on where you made the first stitch. You're going to leave some space like this, because this is the lining piece. You're going to leave some space and sew all the way to where you stopped the main fabric, to where you stopped on the main fabric. You're going to sew. I will sew one side and I will bring it back to show you how to finish the other side. As you can see, I've sewn one side and I will open it up again so you all can see what I have right here. So you can see what I have. You can see I closed that neckline where we opened before. I close it up and I'm going to cut off the excess fabric so we can be able to turn it with ease. Okay, and this is what one side looks like. You can see how clean and beautiful this is. Okay, so I'm going to also turn the other side. So let me take it back to how it was again so we can be able to turn it. So what I'm going to do also is to bring that side as well, right side of the fabric to the right side of the lining piece, close that neckline, and also sew. Don't sew directly on the first stitch. You can see how I'm pointing. You're just going to give some space and sew up to where the first stitch on the main fabric ends. Okay, so after doing all that, you can see, you notice that I added my rope. I didn't plan to add rope in the beginning, but I have to loosen up the side and attach my rope. So if you want your rope, attach rope to this dress, you have to do it that time you were closing the sides. Okay, so this is what I have. I'm going to attach my puff sleeve because this video is already too long. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, share and comment. You can attach any sleeve of your choice. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye.